Like Razor Ramon said, hard work pays off, dreams come true, bad times don't last, bad guys do. Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez. Hey, Rohan. Sorry to start the show off on such a somber note.
My God, what a day it's been, eh?
Yeah, no kidding.
I,
This wasn't the plan when we originally set this up, but sometimes life gets in the way, and we're both wrestling fans, so we probably wouldn't be doing ourselves justice, let alone probably the people watching, if we
yeah,
didn't talk a little bit about what's going on. This will drop tomorrow as we're recording, so Tuesday evening, but we're recording this Monday night, and we just got the word not that long ago that Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, has passed away after so a lot of medical issues in the last month or so. Um, Rohan, as I know, we've never actually spoken like mouth to mouth. We've
right.
sent a lot of DMs back and forth for years, I think.
Yeah, it's probably been a couple of years. I think I first became aware of you through I guess the infamous N4W boards, and
Yeah, Grandpa Dez.
the some of the pictures of some of the Vegas conventions, and I
Oh,
I would I would scroll through these series of photos, and I come to some of these group shots, and I was always so envious of anyone that could go
I
to
know where
these.
you're going.
I was always so jealous, and then I'm looking at these photos like, who's that? Okay, there's someone wearing a Jets jersey
In every picture.
in every picture at all of the parties that you had attended, the Brazilian steakhouse, all these. I see this Jets jersey. It's like, well, okay, who's obviously this dude is from Winnipeg, my home, where we're both from,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like the Jets like 2.0 jersey and a Jets 1.0 jersey. It was that sort of in between that.
It was Keith Kachuk, Jets goals for kids patch on it.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
that between that like 1992 and 96
Hmm.
uniform. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I got to know you in the last couple of years through social media, and it's been great interacting with you. I've always thought that, and I know that you don't talk a lot of maybe pro wrestling on this show. You talk about other stuff here, but
I do. More lately.
I've always found that pro wrestling is like the one, and for the sake of this, I'll call it sport. I think it binds people more than any other sport. And like, if you take for example, if I'm walking down uh, the street and I'm wearing
Okay.
my
Yeah.
colors, right?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Let me preface this. If I'm wearing a Jets jersey, and someone coming across the street coming towards me is also wearing a Jets jersey, nobody thinks anything of it. If I'm wearing this and someone's wearing a Bullet Club shirt or some other wrestling shirt, we acknowledge each other and we too
Yeah.
sweet.
So
And
can I stop you there for a second? I'll let you get on that roll. But two things came to mind when you were talking about that. Number one, you brought up Vegas, and I would always wear my Jets jersey when I would go to Vegas, and because proud Winnipegger, walking down the strip, I would get so many people screaming, "Hey, Jets, go Winnipeg!" Like unbelievable. Like I couldn't walk half a block without that happening. So, or people wanted to high five me or whatever. I don't know if all these people from Winnipeg or if the Jets are just super popular. I don't know what it is. But when you talk about the Jets jersey, like, yeah, if you're in Winnipeg, yeah, I mean, every second person's wearing one. But if you're somewhere else, the Jets are super popular.
mm,
The second thing, I don't know if I've told you this story. I may have told it on the show. I've told a few other people. I was at a casino in Minneapolis, and I'm walking through the casino, and I'm walking past a blackjack table, and the dealer throws up a too sweet, and I'm looking at him like, what? Does this guy like recognize me like from F4W or something like that? Like, I don't think I've been on a couple of the video shows, but and I'm like, I'm looking at him, and do I know you? And then he's like, too sweet, and then I'm like,
then you
okay,
you look
and I
down
give
and
him one, and then I look down, I'm wearing an AJ Styles shirt. So
oh yeah, I was
yeah, and I didn't even know, because a lot of times, like, I have no idea what I'm wearing. Like,
mhm.
yeah, I don't know if you consciously decide what you're going to put on every day, but I just,
No, and
whatever.
well, when I okay, I for as long as I've been watching pro wrestling, I've owned 2 wrestling shirts my whole life. This one, which I only bought about 4 months ago, and a Bullet Club shirt, which I got
That's
years
it?
ago. That's it. My
I have like
collection
30.
my collection is meager.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Oh,
I never throw them away. This Undertaker shirt that I'm wearing right now, this is not like I didn't buy this like a year ago. I've had this shirt since 1994, whatever year it is. I don't know how like the shirts they made back then were so good. Like, I mean, I don't wear it every day or anything, but I put this on, probably a half dozen times a year.
I did in high school own a Lex Luger made in the USA baseball hat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was when I was at my coolest.
I had I won a. You remember when they had the WWF hotline and you would call in and they had trivia questions, and I answered I think it was 3 in a row right, and I got a prize pack, and it included I had a Diesel shirt, I got a Shawn Michaels the HBK sunglasses with with the hearts, and
Dollarama specials.
they're pretty cool. I like them. Although cool is in the eye of the beholder. And then a tape. Like the WWF the music, volume
Right.
2 or something. Like it had, the Undertaker theme and the Shawn Michaels theme, which
was
I played the crap out of that.
was that the one? It was like just like the plain black label, or was that
I
volume
think it
1?
was like yellow and like it
had, like,
had the old
the
school
collage.
WWF logo on
It
it.
had like
Yeah.
the collage of the guys all around like the perimeter of the
Yes.
label. Right?
Yeah. So but it was basically like the beginning of Raw. Like whoever were the stars around that time, I'm sure the Razor Ramon theme would have been on there too. Psycho Sid, Doink the Clown, Lex Luger. Like
we can only be so like we can try to be cool, but we'll never be playing Ahmed Johnson's theme while blaring down Regent Avenue cool.
No. And that's what I do. Like windows down, like, and people probably, driving by like, what the heck is that guy listening to? Like like you're right though. It does bind people together. In these days of social media and the tribalism, like I think in real life it binds people together. On social media, it tends to break people apart. In some ways. I mean, I think that the worst have a bigger voice, maybe like the people that are really bad, and so they tend to make a lot more noise, whereas like probably 80% of the people are like you and me that we just want to see what we like. It's not like, oh, everything WWE does is bad, even though like 90% of it is, and not everything AW does is good, even though like 80% of it is. You know what I mean? Like we're okay, like we don't have to like everything. We're not like devoted to, I'm not on Tony Khan's payroll, despite what some people think. In fact, some AEW fans think I'm on Vince's payroll. So yeah, it's it's unique, and I was happy to know that there was someone else from Winnipeg, because when I would hear you would send in stuff, and I even marked down a little banner here, frequent contributor Ryan and Vinny. I'd hear your name, and then every once in a while you'd have like a reference, and I'd be like, that guy must be from Winnipeg. And then a few times, I think you would actually even say, like, oh, I'm from Canada, or Winnipeg. And then, when we got to know each other, then I would hear your name, and I'm like, okay, like I'm listening a little more carefully because now I know who this guy is. And okay, so does Vinny get your name right?
Never.
Okay, so how is it pronounced?
Rohan Unrau. Rohan as in Eric.
Unrau. Okay, so in my mind, I thought it was exact same as what he's saying. So, what is he like? Unrau
or something.
Yeah, Rohan Unrau or Unrau. Yeah. So I already forgot it.
It's certainly not the worst way that it's ever been pronounced. So.
Rohan Unrau. Is that what you said?
Unrau.
Rohan Unrau. Okay. And see, and I didn't know what you like. I mean, I see your picture on Facebook and your Twitter profile is, I mean, that's you. I'm assuming that's your little girl.
Come on,
so cute.
That's my baby.
Yeah, so cute. She's like a year now. Older.
April 1st is her birthday. She'll be a year.
Okay.
So
yeah. So almost a year. Yeah.
Yeah. God, I never thought I would be doing this again.
Doing what?
I'm going to be 45 at the end of this month.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And,
so you had other kids?
I have a 21-year-old son from my first marriage,
Okay.
and then that dissolved, and then in 2019, and then I was kind of swinging single for a while,
Yeah.
and then I was kind of in a miserable, dark place, and unfortunately, it was you know this is going to sound cheesy and cliche, but wrestling was like the one thing that I looked forward to, and it gave me
I hear you.
something to escape my reality. And then I found a beautiful, wonderful uh, woman named Melissa who, for better
Yeah.
or worse,
Sounds
accepts
awesome.
me for all my flaws, and
She a
uh,
wrestling fan too?
not at all.
Oh,
No, but she's very supportive of my obsession.
I
Um,
like the way you put that.
No, she has seen me actually, she was in the room last night when I was watching Suzuki and Takahashi.
Oh, that yeah, Minoru.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Yeah, I heard that match was good.
yeah. If you like slaps to the chest, that's the match for you.
I haven't watched any of the New Japan Cup. I'm just I there's so much stuff that I watch that I don't have to stream from my phone to see.
Hmm.
That New Japan is just a little too much of an effort for me, even though I
Well,
love it when I watch it.
and I went out of my way to see that just after I saw the
Yeah.
reviews for that one match, and
Okay.
I don't have NJPW World. I don't have any of the streaming services.
Oh, so you just got it on
I
YouTube, or you found a way to get it?
well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
whatever.
that's it.
Yeah, you found a way. Yeah, so you should watch the last show I did. I don't know if you've seen it with Sebastian Gracia. You'll like that one. I
Hmm.
think you'll relate to him a lot because
Yeah.
he went through some of the stuff you're talking about.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
and we had a really good chat.
I gotta
Um,
support the
oh
gimmick.
yeah, Pepsi. This ain't water, except it actually is water because I don't drink. But I like to say this ain't water, like Private Party. Mm,
No, you'll never see me without my wonderful liquid
Pepsi.
sugar.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't. I'm not a Pepsi guy. Like I drink diet mostly, but it's Diet Coke. So if I go to a restaurant, Santa Lucia is a good example of one. So I'll say, "Can I get a Diet Coke?" And they'll say, "Diet Pepsi, okay?" And I'm like, "No, coffee."
if you can't bring me a Coke, then don't bring me anything.
Yeah.
I want root beer from Fanta.
Have you been to Vegas?
I've been once before, a long, long time ago.
Okay. So
Um, it was the best and most debaucherous city I'd ever been in. I went in
what are
for
we talking, like mid-90s?
oh no, this was which UFC was
Okay. Oh.
Couture and Sylvia.
Oh gosh. Was that in Vegas? I thought that was in Columbus.
Where'd they
Like
go?
Tim Sylvia?
There was one UFC that I went to. I don't know. It seems like it's been forever,
I mean, you
but
know
yeah,
what? I'm the worst one about this. Ryan Frederick, my co-host on In the Clinch, knows, like, you give him a match, he knows exactly where it happened.
right. And
Um,
I'm such a casual UFC fan. I think the last actual pay-per-view that I bought was the first Punk fight.
UFC 68. Uh,
That wouldn't have been
that
it
was
then.
Columbus though.
Okay, no, no, that
So
wasn't it. I got
so
confused.
but probably some, like, probably a couture fight.
There
Uh,
was a couture fight in Vegas. This was at the very beginning of my fandom, so
okay, so we're talking late 2000s.
something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
but
So yeah, Vegas was already
we went in there.
debaucherous again by then. Cause I went in, no, cause we went for our honeymoon, and it was like they were trying to market themselves as family at that time. So it was like totally different from what it is now. And then I
Mhm.
went back in 2000 with the wife, and it was kind of the same. But 2010, I went to see, that was the first time with the F4W group, and I went and saw Rashad and Rampage. And
Okay.
it was what you're talking about. It was
Mhm.
debauchery. I mean, and that's what it is now. Like there are
Yeah.
no, we don't bring your family, leave your family at home, come to
Right.
Vegas, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right.
That's the new slogan, right? So the
That's
reason I mention that
that
is because the worst thing about Vegas is, every casino, you can't get Coke. It's all Pepsi. So that kind of ticks me off. But
that's not the worst thing, I suppose.
well, if you like Pepsi. um, but if you don't, then you can go to like grocery store or whatever and get some. And there's grocery stores a lot.
I've tried to tell Visa that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but that seems to follow me around.
Yeah,
They don't get that.
I'm going back. You got to come for one of these F4W conventions sometime. They're so much fun. I just
You
booked
know
my
what?
trip.
Like I said, for years I've been kind of like pining and trying to figure out finances, and like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
that's a
don't
tough
even have
part.
a passport, so
Oh yeah, well yeah, I mean yeah, I don't even think about stuff like that, but yeah, you're right. The first time I went, I mean I went by myself. I didn't know anybody, and I wanted to meet Brian and Dave, and then I wanted to see that fight, and I wasn't even a huge UFC fan at the time, but I wanted to, there was so much hype and everything, so I went, and I had a little bit of money. I had won some money online, playing poker, and so I had enough to buy like a really good ticket. So I bought like a $700 ticket to the event. I'm like, I have awesome seats, but I'm by myself. So I went and I saw Brian and Dave. So we had the steakhouse the night before the UFC, and I met them there. And then I saw them in press row, and I went down and said hi, like who am I?
like a
Whatever. But
fan.
kind of, but I'd met them the day before. So I'm like, hey, I'm
Mhm.
Paul. I met you yesterday. And they're like, yeah, hey, nice to see you and everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if they really know me or anything. And then there was a post fight party that everyone was supposed to go to, and I couldn't find them. Like I had wrote down, they said where they were. And this is like, yeah, Twitter was in its infancy, and I don't even know if I had it on my phone. I think I had a flip phone, and so texting, I didn't have anybody's text numbers. Messenger, Facebook Messenger wasn't really being used at the time. So, I mean, I'm trying to find these people, and I couldn't find them. And so I ended up I spent like an hour trying to find them, and then I just gave up and I went and played poker. I had a really bad run, lost all my money, went to my hotel room, spent the whole next day in my hotel room because I had no money.
Let me
I
get
had
you blew your whole check on the 99-cent trip cocktails like Rob
Yeah, it
Bartlett.
was something like that. And so I wasn't going to go back. And then, as the next year started to come, I started getting messages from people on the F4W board. Hey, Dez, are you coming back? Are you coming back? It was great to meet you last year, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't remember any of you people. And I certainly don't remember you talking to me last year. And, so I decided, you know what, I'll go back. And then I had to convince my wife to let me go. I brought my oldest son, who
Mhm.
that's another thing we have in common. We have kids that are like super spread out. And so I brought my son, who is 20, with me, and we had a great time the second year. And then I made like friends that I still have to this day.
Mhm.
And so it's real tough the first time, but then once you start making these friends, Stevie J.
Oh
I
yeah.
met him in person. There's a famous picture where myself and my son are holding up our friend Jake, who he's very outwardly homosexual, and he's like the best guy in the world. And Stevie took this picture of us holding Jake on our shoulders, and he said, the Winnipeg Jets have won the Jakey. And it was awesome. And it was if it was now, it would probably have gone viral. But yeah, it was so much fun. But yeah, so I didn't know that about you. I just thought you had the one kid. So you have
No,
the 21-year-old, but
I've got
yeah,
sorry. So no, I've got 21-year-old Nate who
yeah.
between the pandemic and work schedules and family issues, we actually just reconnected for the first time in almost 2 years. So that was
Wow.
um
See in Winnipeg?
yeah, he lives with his mom full time.
Okay.
But yeah, like there was some family tension
Yeah.
over, he hadn't really he hadn't I hadn't devised his attitude towards how he would feel about the new marriage and the new family. And so but no, things were progressing there. I've
Good.
got a
Good.
4-year-old. I don't like to call stepson because I don't like the term
I know what you
stepson,
mean. Yeah.
but
Well, if you're married, he's your son.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like that's how I introduce him. So 21-year-old son, a 4-year-old, and at the end of
And
this
then your
month,
1-year-old.
a 1-year-old. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be 62 when she graduates high school. So
Tell me. Well,
we'll,
my Emily is 9, so now she won't graduate until she's 21 because
mhm.
she's got special needs, and so they keep them in high school longer. So 12, I'll be 63. So,
Oh,
it's
there we
we
go.
have that in
We'll be
common. Yeah.
we'll
Meanwhile, I might be a granddad or great granddad by then. I'm granddad now. But I might be a great granddad by then because well, my grandson is 5. So yeah, it's it's cool. Like uh, the worst thing was, and if I'd say worse probably for my daughter than me, we were at camp one year, and this was just after we got Emily, and my daughter and I are walking through the camp, and I got Emily in her stroller, and I'm pushing her, and my daughter's walking with me, and this lady that kind of, I guess, recognized me a little bit, didn't recognize my daughter, but she says, "Oh, you guys are such a lovely couple. Is that your first?" And my daughter was horrified, like just horrified at the thought that somebody thought that we were a couple. That's her in the picture behind me. I don't know if you can see it very well,
Yep.
but yeah, so she's the one in the middle. So yeah, but now she's giving me a grandson, and so now I got to keep the beard white so that people don't make that mistake again.
Yeah, I got the. I don't know if you can see that there, but
not well. No, I can kind of see the bottom. Oh, there you. Oh my goodness, so cute.
that's my Sarah
Wow,
Jane. And
that's
okay, don't.
Sarah. Well, I can see it in your picture too,
Yeah,
in
like
your profile pic.
don't get me wrong. I love my sons. Sons are
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Daughters are just magical, and I don't. Like I said, I never really thought about having more kids or even getting married after my first one. I spent 20 years with someone, and
Yeah.
after
Oh,
that,
wow.
after a while, after 15 years, um, figured out that we weren't right for each other, but we still hung on for 5 more years. And for
Waited until the son had grown up.
well, yeah, we wanted
Kinda.
to wait until
Yeah.
Nate was 18, but no, life is has been pretty good in the
That's
last
awesome.
couple of years.
That's that thing that I mean, that scares me. I mean, I think my wife and I are going to be pretty good, but I mean, the thought of trying to find a second relationship at this stage of my life is baffling. Like if something happened to my wife, God forbid, or if she ever smartened up and decided to leave me, I think I'd die alone. Like I just
Yeah.
maybe I'd get one of my kids to live with me and help, help me look after myself, because my wife and I've been married since I was 19.
Mhm.
Before that, like I lived on my own for about a year, but I always had roommates. So I've never actually been by myself.
Yeah, me either. Like, well,
Yeah.
when I first got married, I was 21 and she was 29,
Oh, wow.
and she had
Okay.
already been married once before.
Oh,
So I'm like I like literally like 6 months prior, I was living with my brother in his basement,
wow.
and then I met someone. We rushed into getting married. We had
Mm.
Nate,
Telling my
and
life story, brother.
and and when Nate was 2 or 3, he was diagnosed with autism.
My
Or
oldest has autism too. Wow.
so we were for everything that has happened between my ex and I will always be thankful for the champion that she was. Oh, someone's doing a run in there.
Yeah, Smokey. Did you
She
did you see the video a couple day last week on the Brews News where Smokey and Drake got into a fight?
No, I haven't
You,
seen that.
you check that out.
I'll
It's
go
on the
check
Fight
that
Game
out.
Media channel.
Mhm.
Anyways, go on. You were talking about your son and
Um, yeah.
sorry.
So as much as I you know, the disagreements that my ex and I had at the time, she was always a champion for the autism programs, and she was very vigilant in getting him into all sorts of different placements and therapies and stuff like that. So for that, I'll always be eternally thankful. And now he's very well adjusted. He's got a full-time job. Um, he's
You know what? Your son's 21.
mhm.
I might actually know his name. My work, I'm involved with community living disability services for my day
Right.
job, so he may get support from them. I got to stop it there because there's confidentiality and everything like that. But now that you're talking, I think I know somebody with the last name. So,
Oh yeah,
uh, yeah,
I'm sure his name has been stamped on a couple of papers, but
yeah,
it's so difficult now because
yes.
we were able to get him into a bunch of programs by the time he was about 5 or 6, and that's when the provincial government pretty much shut everything down because they didn't want to have these doctors stamp the autism label on these kids.
That was our issue. Like we
Mhm.
didn't get our son diagnosed in time, and now he's struggling like a lot. But I mean, we help and but we're trying to get them into CLDS now. But one of the rules is you have to be diagnosed before you're 18. So it's harder to get an adult
Right.
in there. You have to produce a diagnosis from before they were 18. And we did have that, but I don't think we kept it. So yeah, but there are great, I mean, as you know, there's great resources out there for kids with autism.
Like either that or their referral becomes outdated, and then you have to go through all
you got to
sorts
do
of
it again and
issues with
and you got to get the right referral. If you go to the wrong therapist, they won't accept it. Although now I've heard, I don't know for sure, I should know since I work for them, but that they will actually pay for the referral, which is nice. Like if it's for somebody that, if it's the person's an adult already and they're, you can't pay for it themselves because they're expensive, like or assessment. I said not referral, the assessment.
Well, and the waiting list is incredibly long too.
Yes, and with COVID, like we've got assessors that people have been on the list for like a year because they like to do the meetings in person because and so that's hard, and trying to do it on Zoom is tough because especially with kids with autism, like you may make a plan and then that plan doesn't go through because today's not their day. As you know,
learning to change task was always a big issue, and like I said, he's fully functional. He's got a full-time job that he's had for almost 3 years.
Awesome.
And he'll text me updates on who's in the latest DLC in WWE 2K22.
Oh, so he's into wrestling too?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I took him to his first show in 2014, I think. When was
house show?
When did the Wyatts debut?
20 probably 13. Late 2013.
So around then. So
because 2014 wasn't that when Daniel Bryan joined them briefly? I think that was the beginning of 2014.
Right, when he was wearing his janitor jumpsuit.
Yeah. No. And they had that time travel thing where somebody showed him in the crowd in like 1998, like in the same outfit.
Yeah.
So that was his first show in 2014. Wow. I brought my kid. He was at In Your House 4. I brought my son. He was like 3.
I was at that show.
I was in the front row. And then my friend and I drove to Brandon for the Raw tapings the next night.
So were you which side of the camera were you?
I was on the wrong side. So Chris Walby got all the screen time.
Chris Walby and the vampire.
Yes. Yeah. No, we were on the other side. So sometimes you saw the back of our heads because they didn't have as many camera shots back then. So they never saw us.
There is a shot of a guy holding up a sign, and the back of his sign, it's a 2-sided cardboard deal. The back of his sign is very non-PG.
Okay.
So if you go back and watch that, quick plug here, Angry Marks Rewind, myself and Mike Poulin, I believe it's episode 6. We did a review of that particular show and the misery that I sat through.
Mike Poulin, is he from Winnipeg too?
No, he is, I believe.
Okay.
I think he's from Maine. Actually.
I think I'm friends with him on Facebook. I do know a Mike Poulin that I went to school with. But I think I probably asked him that same question at some point. Yeah. But okay. I'll check that. Yeah.
Episode 6, Angry Marks Rewind. You can it's on it's on YouTube.
You can see there, like I said, there's a couple of spots in there where not as much me, but my buddy. And then on the Raw tapings in Brandon, there was a couple brief shots where we're on camera. Because again, we bought front row tickets and we're on the wrong side. So 2 nights in a row, we both got the wrong tickets. We got front row, so we had great seats. But but bringing it back to Razor, and I got to wrap it up soon because my wife's texting me and says she wants to go to bed. But we were in the front row for the Raw taping, and Scott Hall, or Razor Ramon, as he was known then, was he got thrown out of the ring, and he landed on his knee. And my buddy and I are just being like goofs. And I don't know which one of us, if it was me or Doug, but one of us said, "How's the knee, Razor?" And we're like being all, kind of heckling. And he looks straight at us and he says, "Not too good, man," or "Not too good, Chico." And we're just like blown away that, oh my God, he heard us. He interacted with us. He's in character. I think they were in commercial, but he's playing his character, and he's
you're such a mark.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, what was I, 23, 22, 23? Yeah,
Right.
total marks. We waited in line for 5 hours to get these tickets. Like, literally waited in line outside of a drugstore on St. Mary's Road. And they're, oh, this is a funny story. I gotta tell this. Sorry, and I'm taking up more of your time than you, but there was tickets for a country concert. I want to say it was Garth Brooks, but it might not have been. But there was tickets going on sale the same day, but we didn't know. So we got there at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Tickets were going on sale at 10 on a Saturday morning for the WWF in your house. That's going to be coming to Winnipeg. First time we ever had a pay-per-view. It's huge. So we get there and there's a lineup already. And we're like, oh man, I can't believe this. So, but we get there and but we're looking at this line and it's like, these people don't look like wrestling fans. So we're, there's maybe about 10 of them. And so we're like, is this the lineup for wrestling tickets? And they look at us, what? And then, like, are you here for like WWF? And they're like, no, we're here for the concert. I'm like, what concert? And then they told us, and it was like, oh, well, wrestling tickets are going on sale today. And it's like, well, we're in line for this. So we actually had two separate lines, and we were the first ones. So for every half hour or so, there'd be more people would show up. And then as it got closer to 10 o'clock, there would be more and more. And so every time somebody would come, we would be like, oh, wrestling fans, oh, concert fans or whatever. But by the next wrestling fans probably didn't show up till at least 8. And by this time, there's probably like 40 people in line for the concert. And then by 9:30, there's like 150 people in line for the concert, and there's maybe 10 for the wrestling. It was funny, and I don't like it. Didn't
You
even
start to
sell
be
out.
like, am I in the right line?
No. I mean, we were the line. Like we started the line, so we got our 10. We ordered 10 tickets, which was the maximum. We paid, because we thought, and then we're like, we paid $25 a ticket for front row in 1994. So we paid $250 for 10 tickets. And then he brought his dad, I brought my son. We had a couple good friends of ours, so we got rid of our 10 tickets. We didn't scalp them or anything. We just, hey, you want to go to wrestling? $25. Here you go. And that was it. Like no seat fees, no, nothing. It was $25. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that was, but that kids today, they don't know about waiting in line for concert tickets.
They don't know about this.
No, I mean, now it's all pre-sales.
Yeah, like, and pre-sale codes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and you get 10 o'clock, you're in the queue. And then by the time you actually get your tickets, it's like, oh, the best seat we got is, in the upper deck. And it's like,
and half the fun about buying the ticket was having the physical ticket, and then you would like put it on your nightstand.
Oh,
or you'd like stick it to your mirror, and you would look at it every day for months because you're counting down the days to that show. And then the show comes, and then you get Dean Douglas and Razor.
Yeah. And now, you know what? I'll be honest with you. That was the match I was looking forward to. Or the Dean Douglas, Shawn Michaels was the match I was looking forward to the most. And then we didn't get it. But I did get to see Dean Douglas's entire Intercontinental title reign before my eyes.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'll always have that.
And
I also have the Ric Flair, the Ring Around the Rosie. What the hell was it? Musical chairs.
The musical chairs.
Yes, I was there for that too.
Yeah, I was there for that one too.
Yeah. What were you going to say before we go?
Really quick Scott Hall story. This was September of '93, I think. So I'm 16 years old, and all the guys used to stay at the Polo Park Inn. Which
I was there.
Which is now the Canadians like Tijuana Yacht Club.
Yeah.
So after the show, my buddy and I we rushed over there because we wanted to get autographs. And being 16, I'm old enough to kind of know that it's a work, but I'm still young enough to be starstruck by these like larger than life athletes. And so we're waiting by the front door of the hotel, and they all came in like groups. So the first group was Tatanka, who wasn't even on the show, Razor, the Steiners, and Owen Hart. They all came in one car. So they come into the lobby of the hotel, and I rush up, and the first one is there's Tatanka, and I said, "Can I get an autograph, please?" And he snubs me, and he hands me a business card and says, "Call my agent." Razor is right behind him. He hears this. He grabs Tatanka by the shoulder, yanks him over, and just says, "Really?" And then and this was right when Razor he'd only been a babyface for a couple of months.
Was he? He might not even have been yet. If it's what
yeah,
I'm thinking of,
yeah,
he might
because
have still been a heel.
because the summer of '93 was his
Okay.
first babyface against
Okay.
DiBiase.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're
So
right.
right after that, so we're in between SummerSlam and Survivor Series of
Yeah.
'93, and he's babyface. And he punked out to Tonka for me in order
Oh,
to get on an autograph. So
that's so much better than an autograph.
I got razors and Tonkas, which at that point I didn't even want. And then the sad part about that is that as this whole kerfuffle was going on, Owen Hart, the one whose autograph I really wanted, was like walking past the reception desk, and I wasn't about to run into him.
So I met Owen. It's got to be that same trip because it was right around that time frame, unless it was a different time because I came to Winnipeg more often then.
Right.
But I was a courier and I was doing deliveries, and I walked into this hotel lobby, and I see Owen Hart there, and I'm like starstruck. Like Owen Hart has been my favorite wrestler since like Stampede, since '87. And we're like 5-6 years later, and he was in WWF by this point, and I'm like, oh my god. And so I walk up to him and I'm like, hi, I just wanted to let you know, like, you're my favorite wrestler of all time. I just love you. I said, I want to get your autograph, but I got nothing for you to sign or whatever, but I just wanted to tell you that. And he's like, oh, thanks a lot, man. And then over in the corner is Scott Hall, and he's like, hey Scott, okay, I'll be right there, we got to go work out. And he's like, hey, sorry man, nice to meet you, I got to go work out now and stuff. But he called him Scott, he didn't say Razor. And I knew who he was, like from the AWA fan, and they used to wrestle here in the late 80s. So I remember Scott Hall, and I was just like, that was the only time in my whole life I ever met Owen Hart. And I kind of almost met Scott Hall. Like he was in the off in the distance. But it's funny because when you bring up that Owen was in the group, like I think they were like riding partners. Like they would go from town to town together. So.
Yeah, like I don't know if maybe it was just that they were in the limo or the whatever it is, the van that took them from
they were
the
at the
building,
arena,
right?
And the arena is like it was kitty corner practically to the hotel you're talking about.
Like a 3 or 4 minute drive to
it's like a 5-minute walk. I mean, they're not going to walk
traffic.
Yeah. Well, traffic, in those days to get out of a Jets game or a Bomber game is even worse. But it would take you like half an hour to move 3 blocks, and then once you get moving, it's fine. So much easier downtown now with the arena. But
yeah, for sure.
Anyways, we got to go. I would like to stay on longer with you, but my wife wants to go to bed, and I'm sure you know what that's like. So I'll have you on again at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for reminding me earlier today that we were doing this, because I knew I had something booked for today, but I couldn't find who it was. So that's me. That's on me. That's on me.
You almost pushed back my booking.
Oh yeah. Well, I know. I mean, if it would have been too late, I would have just said, oh man, I'm so but I mean, that's not me pushing it back. That's just me being a terrible host.
Well, I mean, it's Monday night, so what else could possibly be going on tonight, right?
Well, yeah. There's a Raptors game on a little bit later.
There's no football, so.
No, there is a Raptors game though. They're playing the Clippers tonight, I think. So for Mr. Rohan Unrau?
Perfect.
Is it? Did I get it right?
Rohan Unrau. Throw a W where the H is. That's how it should have been spelled, but I got hippie parents.
So okay, so it's not the Rowan I'm giving a hard time. It's the Unrau, but it's Unrau.
Unrau, yeah.
Unrau. Okay. For Rowan, I've been Grandpa Dez, and this has been Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez.